A Wedding Ceremony Guide. Chapter 1. The Wedding Process. Wedding Info. Putting the ring on a new bride symbolically represents sexual intercourse. The basic wedding worksheet is: date, time, place, invitations, type of ceremony, wedding gown, wedding party, i.e. bridesmaids, etc., personal vows, father or loved one to walk bride down the aisle, reception site, number of guests, reception music, booze, meal, desserts, wedding cake, floral display, flowers, getaway vehicle, honeymoon. Write out all possible wedding locations, people involved and prices. Write out all the possible choices for all phases of the wedding. Make a decision. Coordinate all details and services. Keep a list of all details so you don't forget anything. Reserve the places for the wedding ceremony and reception. Compose and sending announcements to newspapers. Create the wedding invitations and send them out. Get the gowns, a headpiece for the bride that complements the gown, and get alterations done. Make up packets of rice for after the wedding if you want. Make up miniature keepsakes such as unique place cards, figurines, or small gifts if you want. Order the flowers, bouquets, sprays, headpieces, corsages, boutonnieres, floral arrangements for the ceremony, bouquets for the altar, sprays for the aisle pews, flowers across an archway, in seating areas, reception tables, etc. Get material for wedding theme idea, if applicable. Get tablecloths, plates, decorations, costumes, etc. Get the cake. Get the food, buffet, light meal or full dinner. Get the booze. Get the tables, chairs, linens, forks, spoons, etc. Hire a cleanup service for after, if applicable. Set up music arrangements at the ceremony and reception. Set up photography and or video services. Get the aesthetics all planned out, number of guests, etc. Then make the arrangements. The wedding party starts with the maid or matron of honor, usually a close friend, sister, or grandmother. She usually holds the bride's bouquet and signs the marriage certificate. The bridesmaids' numbers can range from none to 12. It's a good idea to include sisters from both sides of the couple's family. Include people to avoid jealousy and or family problems. You can have a special friend read a poem or prayer during the wedding or sing a song. The best man carries the rings, takes charge of the marriage license, pays off the clergy, altar boys, etc., proposes the first toast at the reception, helps the couple drive off to the airport for the honeymoon and returns the groom's rented tuxedo. Ushers hang around the church and direct people to their chairs, seating the direct family up front. They also decorate the wedding car. Children can serve as flower girls, ring bearer with symbolic ring on satin pillow, pages to carry the train of the wedding dress, and candle lighters. Chronological wedding steps. These points here are tabulated chronologically as things to do time-wise as you get closer to the wedding date. Get the engagement rings, make the newspaper announcement and have the engagement party. Book the church, the wedding site if applicable, and the reception site. You may have to take a marriage preparation course with your church. Make arrangements with the flower shop, photographer, videographer, caterer, baker, reception hall, etc. Check them out in person, then sign the contracts. Choose wedding dress. Give the store time for custom fittings. You can buy one off the rack or rent one to save money. You could bring your camera or camcorder and take pictures to review later at home. Prepare for your new home and buy furniture, kitchenware, etc. Choose your wedding party, maid of honor, bridesmaids, flower girl's best man, ushers and ring bearer. Make sure they all order their dresses and stuff. Get your passports and make the honeymoon arrangements. Make overnight accommodations for out-of-town guests. Order wedding invitations, wedding announcements, and thank you note stationery. Include reception response cards in your wedding invitations. You might also consider wedding ceremony programs if it's a big one. A sample wedding invitation is: Mr. and Mrs. Joe Bob Smith request the honor of your presence at the marriage of their daughter, Nancy K. 2. Peter Joe Nerdo. Saturday, the 10th of June. At 4 o'clock. St. Peter's Church, Halifax, Iowa. And afterwards at M.L. Conn Community Center. For the reception, send the invitations about 6 weeks before the wedding. You might be uncertain as to whether to invite the people from work to your wedding. If it's a small company, it might be a good idea. You could just send a blanket invitation to the office for anyone who wants to go. It is considered in bad taste to dictate dress or specify whether it's alcohol-free or wine and beer only on the invitation. People are mature adults. They know what's appropriate, and these are minor affairs anyway. If you invite people less than 1 month from the wedding date, they might feel that you were on their B list and only invited them because others cancelled, so invite people several months before the wedding. Order wedding rings. Have wedding showers where the guests bring presents. Practice the wedding and finalize arrangements with the caterers and other services. Prepare for the local, civil marriage license. Get blood tests necessary to get the marriage license. Most states require blood tests for venereal diseases, and at least 14 states require that couples receive information about AIDS. Contact your local Health and Human Services office, AIDS helpline, or your doctor for information about marital test requirements. Get your wedding dress, get a bridal portrait taken and send it to the local newspaper. Make the newspaper announcement of your wedding with photo submission. You have already made an engagement announcement several months ago, but now you're making the wedding announcement, which generally appears the day following the ceremony. Newspapers might not publish all the wedding announcements they receive, or they might charge a fee for it. In any event, the sooner yours is sent, the clearer the photograph and the tighter the dialogue, the better your chance of having it published. Call the paper ahead of time and request their guidelines. In general, you should provide the following information for both the bride and groom: full name, parents' name and town of residence, parents' occupations, grandparents, school and college, occupation, date of wedding, location of wedding and reception, names of bride's attendants and relationship to bride or groom, if any, names of groom's attendants and relationship to bride or groom, if any. Description of type of wedding. Name of minister, priest, or rabbi and church. Where couple will honeymoon. Practice the wedding again with all the logistic helpers there. Make the transportation arrangements such as limousines, friends' cars, etc. Make appointments with hairstylist and manicurist for near wedding day. Buy gifts for each other if you want and for the members of the wedding party. Pick up wedding rings. Have bridesmaids party where you give them the gifts. Usually bridesmaids pay for their own dresses, but the bride could pay if she has rich parents. Bachelor party. Buy gifts for the best man and ushers. Have other wedding parties such as a brunch, rehearsal dinner, or a cocktail party. Get your wedding license about 2 weeks before the wedding. You will need identification like a driver's license, parental consent if you're under 18, divorce papers if you've been divorced, proof of citizenship if you weren't born in the United States, and some money to pay the license fee. They usually only take cash. Once you get the license, it's not valid until signed at your civil or religious ceremony, either by the civil official or the priest. When you get the license, you should celebrate by going out to supper. Call invited guests you haven't heard from to verify their plans. Make the reception seating plan. If you feel so obliged, talk about a premarital agreement. People may write up marriage contracts for a number of reasons, such as the husband agreeing not to move while the wife stays in school, or the husband agreeing to share with the housework, but overall most of these contracts aren't legally binding except just to reinforce your marriage vows. A prenuptial agreement is done to protect assets in case of divorce and to prevent either party from seeking alimony from the other. You should first check with the state's laws regarding divorce settlements, then go to a lawyer to write up a legal prenuptial agreement. Or you could write it up yourself and sign it in the presence of several witnesses. Get your manicure, hairstyle, and everything else done well in advance. Have the final rehearsal. Usually the organizer, like the bride's father or a friend, walks everyone through. Make sure you've thought through all your creative plans beforehand and that this step will simply be a run-through. In other words, don't wait to get creative at this final rehearsal. Try to have briefed everybody already in advance so they know what to expect. Do a complete run-through and practice the hard parts. The bride should practice handing off her bouquet to her maid of honor. Tell everyone the exact times of the wedding plan. Get the priest to look over the wedding license. In a Christian ceremony, the bride's relatives and friends sit on the left, the groom's on the right. This is reversed for Jewish ceremonies. If you don't have a regular church, look in the phone book for non-denominational churches or ask to rent the church at the local college if there is one. You can get married anywhere you want as long as you have someone legal to officiate, which could even be a military officer. The easiest way is the Justice of the Peace at City Hall. Don't make it a show-off kiss of the bride. Not cool/classy. Keep it light. No fancy stuff when you put the ring on. Some people push the cake onto the wife's face when feeding her the first bite. It's childish and disrespectful of the sanctity of the ceremony. When the reverend asks if anyone has anything to say or forever hold their peace, don't look back to the congregation. Don't be funny at all during the ceremony, like pausing to think. If the wife doesn't like the obey part, ask him to take it out beforehand and replace it with to work with. Don't write a funny message on your shoes that can be seen when you kneel. Shake hands with everyone. Give mild kisses if girls move into you expecting a kiss. Kiss your ex-girlfriends or former wives if you want. You might want to give a statement of love at the ceremony and a longer one at the rehearsal dinner. The best man is responsible to organize the stag party, collect money from the other groomsmen to buy the groom a gift, make sure all groomsmen are dressed correctly, with the same tuxedos, gets you to the church on time, provide transportation to church, park for photos and reception hall. He rides with the groom, stands by your side at the ceremony with ring in pocket ready, hands out payments to all the people who want money and tips, altar boy, priest, caterer, photographer, band, DJ, etc., help you pack and leave for your honeymoon. Wedding day info. Your relationship is what is important, not the extravagance of your celebration. Choose not alone a proper mate but a proper time to marry. Old folk saying. A nice gesture I saw was a guy who honored his parents by getting married on the same date as his parents did and using his parents' wedding rings as his wedding rings. On the wedding day, reconfirm with all the professionals by calling them early. Give the rings to the best man. Finish packing for the honeymoon. Have your after-wedding outfits ready so you can leave promptly for the honeymoon. Make sure you eat and drink a little before the wedding. Put tips for clergymen, altar boys, and limousine driver in envelope and give them to the best man to deliver after the ceremony. 2 hours before the wedding, start to dress with your mother and bridesmaids if possible. 1 hour before the wedding, bridesmaids and parents all meet at bride's house to pick up flowers and take pictures. At about 45 minutes to go, the organist starts playing music at the church and ushers start to escort guests to their seats, family up front, everyone else behind them. The rest of this discussion is flexible but follows this general pattern. The bridal party-less bride can either go to church and wait in the vestibule or wait with the bride and leave with her in a second car. The groom and the best man go to church and wait in the vestibule. The priest gives them last-minute instructions. Father and bride leave for church. Bridal party, bride's mother may either arrive early and wait in the vestibule or arrive at the same time with the bride. Groom's parents are seated in the front row. Final guests are seated and then the bride's mother is the last to be seated, escorted by an usher. The bridal procession is ready at the back of the church. The ushers may roll out a carpet. The groom and best man take their place at the altar with the priest and altar boys facing the procession. The wedding solo starts and the procession moves up. The wedding ceremony. The steps covered here apply to a formal ceremony. In an informal ceremony, many of the steps are eliminated, such as the need for ushers or even a recession, opposite of procession, the leaving ceremony, at the end. The ushers begin the procession in pairs followed by pairs of bridesmaids, the maid of honor, the flower girl and ring bearer side by side, girl to the left, boy to the right, then the bride on the left escorted by her father on the right. From here, it gets very flexible. The father may leave his daughter and sit with his wife in the front seat. Or he may accompany her and stand at the altar, off to the side, in the rear. There may be special seating at the side of the altar, or the wedding procession may sit in the front pews until the wedding part of the Mass. There may not be a Mass, just a wedding ceremony. In general, when the wedding ceremony starts, the groom and best man stand on the right and the bride and her maid of honor stand on the left. The ring bearer and ushers stand behind the groom while the flower girl and bridesmaids stand behind the bride. When it's all over, the bride and groom leave first arm in arm followed by the ring bearer and flower girl, the best man and maid of honor arm in arm and ushers with bridesmaids arm in arm. The people shower them with confetti and rice as they proceed outside and they get into their car which a friend or usher had slipped out to earlier to decorate. If the bride's parents are divorced, the father can escort his daughter, then sit in the third pew away from his ex-wife. Or the daughter may choose to have her stepfather or another relative give her away. In the event of the father's death, another relative or even the mother can give the bride away. She will escort the daughter to the altar, sit in the front pew, then the best man will escort her up to the altar at the right part of the ceremony. Father and mother both could escort the bride in. The ceremony depends a lot on the clergyman and the church it's held at. Being religious, he may require that you take a premarital course and talk to you if you're each of different faiths. If you have been previously divorced, tell your priest about it. Within the Catholic Church, you can usually choose a bigger church outside of your diocese to have your wedding with your favorite priest. Ask about reading your personalized vows and other details like music, rehearsals, and fees. Some churches don't charge for weddings, some do. Music usually starts about a half hour before the ceremony and the organist plays the traditional "Here Comes the Bride" when the bride is ready for her walk down the aisle. The ring goes on the left hand. You might ask for creative notions like having the couple facing the audience and the priest with his back to them, or a garden wedding, or have the guests stand around in a semicircle around the couple. If a civil wedding's your bag, check with your local municipality and find out about which officials can marry you, like a judge, county clerk, etc. The ceremony can be either at the town hall or anywhere you want if you're willing to pay an extra fee. Chapter 2. A Wedding Officiant Guide. Who can legally perform a marriage ceremony? In order to find out who is legally allowed to marry you, check with your local county marriage license bureau for either the names of people authorized to perform a marriage ceremony or for a list describing what qualifications they must have. The following is a list of those who can perform a civil marriage ceremony. The mayor of a city or town. The city clerk or a deputy city clerks of a city with over 1 million inhabitants. A marriage officer appointed by the town or county government. A justice or judge in most courts. A village, town, or county justice. A court clerk, generally a bureaucrat with the marriage license office, who has been given the legal authority to perform marriages. A person given temporary authority by a judge or court clerk to conduct a marriage ceremony. Ships captains who take the time, who get certified by the civil government in their home port. Beyond the legal requirements for a marriage license, you can get married religiously any way you want. Most people get married by an accredited member of the clergy from one of the mainstream religions in a church. Some people use someone they think has religious relevance to them even though they have no legal license. Natives sometimes get married by tribal chiefs. Wedding officiant list websites: CelebrantUSA.com, JPUS.org, Justice of the Peace Association. Justices of peace have the authority to perform marriages. MarriagePartner.com/marriage/marriage-officiant.html. NAOonline.com, National Association of Wedding Officiants. PlannersGuide.com/officiant.htm. RabbiNetwork.com, hire a rabbi for a wedding. RentApriest.com. USMarriageLaws.com/United_States/officiants. WeddingMinisters.com. WeddingOfficiants.com. WeddingOfficiants.net. Wedding officiant websites. You can call up a priest, minister, or civil official in your locale to come over and marry you where you live immediately for a fee of $50 to $150. Some even have the forms from the city clerk's office with them. In your local area, look up the terms marriage or wedding services in the yellow pages or do an internet search like Wedding Service, Birmingham, Alabama. Marriage Service, Birmingham, Alabama, 24-hour. FaithToFaithWeddings.com, Interfaith Jewish Weddings. GetMarriedAnywhere.com. InterfaithArabi.com. InterfaithWedding.com, Interfaith Wedding Ceremonies for Pa, New Jersey, DA and MD. MaryUsno.com. RabbiNetwork.com. Get ordained quickly, officiate weddings. Pay a few bucks, get a minister's license and start performing weddings. PerformOurWedding.com, get ordained online, perform weddings. OpenOrdination.org. PoolC.com, get a minister's license quickly. SpiritualHumanism.org, be a legally ordained clergy person, perform weddings. Subgenius.com. WCM.org, get ordained as a minister quickly. Chapter 3. A Wedding Vows Guide. Wedding Vows Info. To have and to hold. From this day forward. For richer, for poorer. In sickness and health. For better, for worse. To love and to cherish. Until death do us part. I now pronounce you man and wife. Marriage vow. O, celestial beings. Let our feelings for each other continue without diminishing. Only when mountains are leveled to basins, when ocean waters run dry, when winter is ripped with thunders, when the summer sky, rain, snow and heaven and earth are smashed together, shall we ever dare to be parted? Anonymous Chinese poet, 100 BC. Discuss your marriage vows before you get close to saying them. Make sure you both agree to all of them. To have and to hold from this day forward means sex for two only. For better or for worse means whatever comes along, including job loss, disease, etc. For richer, for poorer means if we're doing well or if we lose everything. In sickness and in health means if you become physically debilitated, I will change your diapers and bathe you for the rest of your life. To love and to cherish means placing that person first before anyone else, ever. From this day forward until death do us part means we stick together no matter what. If you can't be a man enough to stick with your vows, you have no place marrying someone or having children with them. Your wedding vows are the expression of your love and personal commitment to one another. Most religions are willing to allow adaptations of traditional vows as long as the basic tenets of those vows are kept intact. Personalized vows go beyond this to include pledges to cherish and respect one another. Even though many people do different variations of the traditional wedding ceremony, it still comes back to the same thing: a man and a woman standing before God and the world, pledging to love each other and united as a spiritual team for life. Although the traditional vows are phrased in the form of a question, do you take this girl to be your lawfully wedded wife, The newer version is that each reads out their pledge to the other, about a paragraph each, often personally written rather than a canned vow. If you decide to write your own vows, be real, brief, personal and sincere. Vows that are long and overly eloquent seem too artificial and ruin it. I came across a book that had maybe 100 or so non-traditional wedding vows in it. This could be a way for you to get some ideas for your wedding vows. Another way is to write out one wedding vow, then each take turns alternating, reading off a few sentences of it to each other, kind of like a dialogue or conversation. The ones I've seen looked rehearsed, like they practiced it hundreds of times before. Most people read their non-traditional vows or repeat after the minister for the traditional one. For all the wedding shows I've seen on TV, I don't ever remember seeing two people speak spontaneously without reading anything. Rings are exchanged as a token of the love for each other in virtually every type of wedding ceremony I've ever seen. It's simply the symbol of love and unity of two people between each other. I've seen roses exchanged while each pledged that this would be their symbol of love for each other, red and white rose, and each year on their anniversary, they would give each other a new rose to reassert their love for each other. One couple took a sip of wine each from a silver cup to symbolize unity. Another one was each of the players lighting a candle, then together using it to light one bigger candle as a symbolic gesture of unity. I've read about wedding ceremonies in all the world's major religions from the books at #392.5 at the library, and the wedding vows are all basically the same, a proclamation of love and honor in front of God and family. They're all a little different but basically the same. It's too numerous to write them all out here. Simply go to the library, #392.5, or go on the internet and find some of the many wedding vow descriptions out there. I've seen hybrid wedding vows, like Christian-Jewish, Muslim-Christian, etc. The one thing that gets me time and time again is the reading of the vows. The right way is to face each other, hold hands, talk to each other and look at each other as you repeat what the minister says. The wrong, big mistake many people make is to give control to the minister, face him and talk to him throughout the vows. Don't face the minister. Face each other. Talk to each other, not to the priest. It doesn't look right when they don't look each other in the eye straight on like the I love you look. Look at each other. Talk to each other when you say the vows. Don't look at the minister, look at your partner. A typical wedding vow. I, Johnny, take you Kathy to be my lawfully wedded wife, to love and honor, to have and to hold, for better or worse, in sickness and health, in good times and bad, from this day forward, till death do us part, forever and ever. Or, I, Johnny, take you Kathy to be my lawfully wedded wife, to be true to you, to love you all the days of my life, for better or worse, in sickness and health, in good times and bad, till death do us part, forever and ever. Some Christian wedding vows use the word obey, which tacitly puts the woman lower than the man. In 1925, the Episcopalian Church took the word obey out of traditional wedding vows. Write up your own vows. Take the word obey out of the traditional vows and replace it with share or work. Some liberated vows have a line something like, I don't expect you to take care of me, I promise I will take care of myself and we will take care of each other. Have your parents renew their vows at your ceremony. For second or third marriages, I've often seen a term like this is a new day, a new beginning in the wedding vows. If one has kids, the other will often promise to love and cherish them too. I've seen one wedding vow where the minister asked the groom if he would accept the new wife's daughter as his own and raise her as her father. Beyond wedding vows, you could have a friend read a love poem or declaration of love. Many couples include a scriptural passage or prose pieces often read by a friend or relative. Some religions will allow religious readings only. Others will allow readings from secular texts. Talk to your clergy person about it. Try #392.5 or BL619 at the library for books about weddings. Wedding vows websites. WeddingVowToolkit.com. Bible.org/docs/pastor/weddings/vows.htm chicagomarriage.com/wedding_vows.htm. ourweddingvow.com. wed101.com.